Great. Okay. Good morning. Today is February 24th, 2022, and we are here to adjudicate case number 21-06743-ILGUS for property address 2544 Dumaine Street. I'm Kiana Anderson, and I'll be acting as the minute clerk today. We are recording these proceedings, and copies will be made available by public record request after the proceedings have concluded. If
Okay.
everyone that will be speaking, please make your appearance for the record and give us a phone number.
Okay. I'm Maria Ozen. I'm your hearing officer. So I'm going to start by finding out who is here to represent the property.
Good morning, Your Honor. Taylor Stone on behalf of Hampton Meyers, the property owner.
You're an attorney, correct?
That's correct.
May I please have the name of the firm that you're with and also contact phone number and address?
The name of the firm is the Law Office of Taylor C. Stone, LLC. The contact phone number is area code 504-717-4874. And the physical address is 627 Cherokee Street, Suite 205. And that's here in New Orleans, 70118 is the zip code.
Okay, thank you so much. I see we have a number of other people who are here. If you all would like to start identifying yourselves and then giving me also your name, your address, phone number, and whether or not you're associated with the property or you're just here to testify. And then I'm going to swear you all in en masse. So let's start with the bicycle guy in the yellow shirt.
My name is Andrew Legrand. I'm a witness today. I live at 2552 Dumaine Street. My phone number is 504-442-9938.
Okay. I see someone else with their camera on. Go ahead, sir. I think you're on mute.
Yes, I'm Hampton Meyers. I am the owner of 2544 Dumaine Street.
Oh, wait, is this the one that are we here to adjudicate that address?
Correct.
Well, then when I asked for the owner, why didn't you open your mouth?
Oh, I beg your pardon. I
Okay.
didn't hear. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Your mailing address and phone number, please.
Okay. 504-534-5146, my phone number.
Mhm.
And my mailing address is 727 Barrack Street, apartment
Apartment 1, I'm sorry.
10,
Okay. And the zip code?
70116.
Thank you. All righty. I see 4 other just telephone symbols. So I don't know if those are people who are here to observe, to testify. Can you please just identify yourselves?
I'm James Hammond, 2544 Dumaine Street, here to testify. I am a tenant.
Okay. And contact phone number, please.
757-977-6530.
Righty. And next, there's another one. Another number I see here, 504-9. I don't know what starts with the 9, whoever you are. What's your name?
Hello, this is Nick Kindle, the zoning administrator in safety and permits. Sorry for hopping on late. I was having trouble with the app.
Thank you, Nick. All righty. And I have someone else, 504-48. I don't know, whomever else wants to have 2 other people here. So please identify yourselves.
Hi, I am Ramona Brown. I am a tenant at 2544 Dumaine Street. My telephone number is area code 504-872-2244. Is that everything?
Yes, I think so. And one more person.
I'm Casey Shuffles. I'm a tenant at 2544 Dumaine Street. And my phone number is area code 949-374-8268.
Great. All righty. And I am now going to have all of you, except for the attorney, Mr. Stone, raise your right hand. So Mr. Meyers, Mr. Kindle, Mr. Legrand, Mr. Hammond, I can't remember everybody's name, but please raise your right hands. Do you all solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
I do.
I didn't hear enough
Yes, I
items
do.
there.
I do.
I do.
All right. Thank you
I
so
do.
very much. All right. Let us proceed. Ms. McNee, go ahead and call in this case.
Okay, this is Lily McNee with the City of New Orleans, and I'll be acting as the facilitator today for this hearing. The property is being cited by the Zoning Division of Safety and Permits for one violation, CZO 11.2, HURD2 permitted and conditional uses. The alleged violation is multifamily at this location, which is not a permitted use. And this was originally scheduled for February 2nd, 2022. It was reset at that time because there was discrepancy about the notice.
I recall.
Oh, yes. Okay, good. You were the hearing officer at that one.
Yes, I was.
But so I don't believe that I don't think that we entered any exhibits or evidence, so I'll do that now. I'll share my screen for our notice documentation for this case. We have the notice of hearing that was scheduled, the original notice of hearing, which was sent to the property owner of record, certified, as well as regular mail.
Your Honor, we'll stipulate that the notice was proper for today.
Wonderful. All righty, we can proceed then. Let's go on.
Okay. So the notice was also posted on the property as well. So those would just be requested to be included in the record and marked as Exhibit 1.
They are.
Okay. And Nick, you need me to do the PowerPoint for you. I'll have Nick Kindle join us to do the.
Yes, I think you will have to, since he's having trouble with his computer connection.
Yes, that would be very helpful, Lily. Yeah, I apologize. I do not have access to my computer today, and I'm doing this on my phone. I've been having issues trying to connect via the app on the phone.
Okay.
All right. Are you guys able to see that, or?
No, you're not sharing your screen yet, Lily.
Hold on one second.
Got it.
Okay.
Great. Now you do.
All right. Okay, Nick, if you want to go ahead. Oh, wait. Can you see it even? Are you able to
Yes,
see
we can see. We can see
no,
here
but-
you have the violation up. Oh, can
but
Nick
can-
see?
So yeah, unfortunately I cannot see it, but I can kind of go a little bit based on memory.
Well,
So,
I
yeah.
tell you what, rather than going on memory, Lily, as you put a slide up, just announce what the slide is, and then Nick
Correct.
can then
Okay.
describe it better.
So this is just, the violation it's a multifamily dwelling in a historic urban two-family residential district, HURD2. And just the brief violation timeline, the initial inspection was made October 5th, 2021. A gain access letter was sent to the property owner of record October 6th, 2021. An additional zoning violation letter was sent January 10th, 2022. The posting of the hearing notice was done January 11th, 2022. A reinspection was done January 21st, 2022. Then the initial hearing date, and then the reset notice for today. And let's see what's in it. This is just the map showing the location that is in the HURD2 zoning district. And then, Nick, this is just the description of the violation of the multifamily dwelling definition.
Yes, so just to add a little bit more to that, so as Lily had stated, this is a HURD2 two-family residential district, so this allows single and two-family residential dwellings, and in this case, we have a multi-family residential dwelling, so yeah, the issue comes down to, you know, the definition of what is a family, and a family includes, you know, people who are related by birth or marriage, or up to 4 unrelated individuals living together by a common rental agreement. And so based on our inspections, it seems like the building was kind of rented out in a manner that, it was rented out to people individually as opposed to, through some sort of joint rental agreement.
Okay, and this is the inspection photos taken October 5th, just showing the...
Your Honor, I have to object to any of these photos until we at least have them authenticated.
And in what manner do you propose they be authenticated?
The person who
Want to
took
know
them,
who took the photos?
sure, that would work.
Who took the photographs, Mr. Kendall?
The photos were taken by our inspector, Michael Smith. So Michael Smith is unable to appear. He has subsequently taken a position with another city, so he is no longer, a City of New Orleans employee.
Mr. Kendall, have you actually seen the physical property itself?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Did I tell you you could ask Mr. Kendall a question right now? I'm
You
confused.
did not.
Okay. All right. So let's just save those questions for a little later. But they were taken by the city inspector. Let's just proceed with this procedure. Write that question down. You can ask it a little later. Okay. Go ahead.
That's fine. I would just ask that my objection to the admissibility be noted for the record.
Wonderful. It is. Let's just move forward so I can see what this case is all about.
All right, Nick, this is the photograph showing exterior doors. I don't know if you wanted to expound on this or if I should move on.
Yeah, so just briefly, we had our inspector go out, Michael Smith, as previously mentioned. One of the tenants led him into one of their units, and the photographs show that, this, what was kind of part of a larger structure was set up in a way that, it was rented out as an individual unit. So we have photographs of that, as well as we have photographs of exterior doors where, you can see on the doors where it's marked out as, separate numbers indicating the separate units in each of those.
And
okay,
there's six doors here that were photographed with numbers on them.
Yes, that sounds about right.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Nick, the next slide are 4 photographs showing interior inspection photographs taken October 5th, 2021. And
I have the same objection to these photos, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Noted. Okay.
Yes, so I probably jumped ahead of myself a little bit. So these are the interior photographs that for one of the tenant spaces within there that kind of shows that this is rented out as a individual space with its kind of own little kitchenette. And, I believe there's a photograph of a table that sort of is blocking off doorways that, if this wasn't rented out in the manner that it was rented out, that, that would be, just a doorway as part of a larger dwelling unit. But, this was rented in a manner where individual spaces were blocked off.
It's also a ramp, an exterior photo. It's a ramp, a wooden ramp, it looks like, and then an exterior door that if you're facing it, would be your left. It's brick, it looks like, and on your right, it's like some kind of a white siding. Is that that's the picture of what is that a picture of?
I believe that's a picture of the front of the house. I'm not necessarily sure that picture indicates anything specific to these violations.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'll move on to the next. These are the videos. Should I play them?
Sure.
I have the same objections to the videos, Your Honor. They've not been properly authenticated.
Okay, go ahead. Show the video, please.
So this is an inspection. This taken place January 21st, 2022, and these videos were taken by Inspector Charles Brown.
Okay. And Mr. Brown works for safety and permit zoning.
Yes, he does.
What is this? Why are there wooden plywood? What is that?
I think that those were blocked off doorways.
With plywood?
And then this is the washer and dryer area going towards the backyard. Okay, that was the first video. Nick, do you want me to play the other one? I'm going to take it.
Yeah, and just as a bit of background, so these two videos show the two units at the time that Mr. Brown had inspected in January. I believe the property owner was there with him when he conducted these inspections. And so I'm sorry, I don't recall which video was which, but so for one of the units, you'll see in the video that it is has been fairly opened up, and that's because, you know, like tables and other furniture that were blocking the units to show them as sort of separate units have been removed in the video. But yeah, you can go ahead and play it if you haven't started playing it already.
Yeah, it's playing, and this one's, the video playing now is one that started in the front of going through the front door.
Your Honor, while the video is playing, I would just raise the same objection to this video. It's not been properly authenticated, and I would notate that Mr. Kendall just himself said that he was, there were 2 units, and this video shows one of the 2 units.
Noted.
No, that one of the videos showed 2 of the units.
I'll ask Mr. Kendall to clarify what he said. Mr. Kendall, can you clarify what you said, please?
Yeah, so there are 2 videos that show 2 distinct dwelling units. The issue here is that one of the units is not being operated as a just single dwelling unit. It's being operated as multiple units within that individual unit. And you'll see that there are kind of multiple little kitchenettes in that unit, and doors are shut to essentially turn one dwelling unit into, I forget the exact number, but I believe it was like 4 or 5 little separate mini dwellings within one unit, and therein lies the violation.
So it's just continuing going through the multiple units. And then now it's at the side yard.
Oh, what's that? A fire
It was at the neighboring next door property.
that had a fire, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay, that video is concluded. Is there anything else?
Just the final the final photograph just shows the notice of hearing that was posted on January 21st. So Nick, the PowerPoint is done. I don't know if there's anything else that you needed to add.
No, I'll just, say in conclusion that, based on the original photographs from the October inspection, we see that the units were laid out differently than what was shown through the video and then in the January inspection. And because, one of the units was broken up into multiple smaller dwelling units, therein lies the violation in this particular case. And so, yeah, that concludes my presentation.
What did you say about it was different from the January? Wait, what? I didn't follow that.
Yeah, so in October, when we inspected, there was furniture that was blocking doorways. So it wasn't just one big open unit as shown in the January inspection, that they had broken that up into separate little mini units that each had their own exterior door and were kind of occupied by separate tenants. So it wasn't, a number of tenants living in.
Are you saying that it's no longer occupied by multiple tenants?
I believe there were multiple tenants when they showed up in January, but essentially what they had done in January was to kind of conceal the way that the facility had been previously rented out and operated with the separate tenant spaces.
Okay. Yeah. And you did say that the owner was present during one of these interior inspections.
I believe so. In the January inspection, our inspector Charles Brown had met someone there. I believe it's the owner, but I was not part of that inspection, so I don't. Yeah.
Well, I'll just ask him. Were you present then, Mr. Meyers, when he? I'm sorry, I got your name wrong. Yeah, Mr. Meyers. Were you present during one of the inspections?
Yeah.
Thank you. What's up with the plywood? All that plywood?
It covers a doorway.
Okay. You're just gonna leave it like that?
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Okay. All right. So, does the city rest?
I'd like an opportunity to cross-examine Mr. Kendall, please, Your Honor.
I just asked, okay, the city, have you finished your presentation?
I do have some additional documents that neighbors had sent in requesting to be included in this presentation
Okay.
for the record. So they have been present at previous hearings, and I don't think that they were able, Mr. LeGrand is able to attend, but.
Your Honor, if this is testamentary evidence, and if they're not here to testify about it, I'm going to object to the admissibility.
You can object, but it's an administrative hearing, so they can put it in.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We'll see.
So we have multiple.
Go ahead.
We have multiple letters that were sent in by the neighbors. Jean Alimia, I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly, rents at 2600 Dumaine Street, describing some of the conditions. A letter from Tom Rogers, 2601 Dauphine Street. Andrew LeGrand, who is also here present today, so he can speak upon his experiences himself. We would like to ask permission for him to.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to admit these into the record, and I'm assuming that you guys have verified If not, please do verify by contacting these people to make certain that they actually sent in these emails so they can really be a part of this record.
Yeah,
We don't have time to
most
read
of
them.
these people we've had multiple, have had contact with in the past already about this location.
Okay. All righty, great. Well, before I get to you, Mr. Legrand, I want to hear everything that the owner has to say so then you can let us know your side of the story too. But I am going to ask the owner's side to go ahead and present their defense on this. That means you are Mr. Stone to present your defense. It doesn't have to come directly from you, Mr. Meyers, but if you'd like to.
Your Honor, sure, I'd be happy to. And Mr. Meyers is here. I do believe he has some testimony that's going to be relevant to this. But I will say that the property itself was originally a short-term rental, which is why there is some of the plywood inside the homestead exemption through Mr. Legrand, who is in fact Mr. Meyers' prior legal counsel, who helped him obtain the short-term rental licenses that he had. Filed complaints along with some of the neighbors who I believe have submitted some of the letters but are unable to appear today. Complained about the use of the structure as a short-term rental. Mr. Meyers subsequently had his homestead exemption revoked and therefore lost his short-term rental license. So there was never any point where the property was being used as a short-term rental without the license, but that homestead exemption was revoked and that was the basis for the STR license. Once that was pulled back, the property was altered to make it suitable for two-family long-term rental property. So that is why you see some of the plywood inside, blocking off doorways, et cetera. The property itself, Your Honor, as Mr. Kendall in his own words said, is two units. It's Unit A and it's Unit B.
Let me just correct you. He didn't say that. I asked him. He said the video was of the two that he went into. He didn't say there's only two there. So go on. I asked him to clarify that. That's what he did.
So he clarified it, but he did originally say one of the two units, correct?
No, that's not what he originally said. He said the video is of one of the two units. He never said there were only two units. So let's go forward. Please don't put words in people's mouths. That's why I asked him to clarify it. So go on.
Your Honor, you just repeated what I said. So moving forward,
you know what? You know what? I did not confirm what you said. So if you want to get into it back and forth with me, you go right ahead. But I'm not going to let you sit here and put words in people's mouths. So go ahead and make your defense without putting words in someone else's mouth. Go ahead.
Very well, Your Honor. I have three of the tenants of the property here today to testify. And so I would like to begin by calling Miss Ramona Brown on behalf of the defense.
Go ahead, Miss Brown.
I am right here.
Miss Brown, can you please state your name for the record?
She Ramona Brown. Did, but Miss Brown, what is it that you'd like to say?
Miss Brown, can you state for the record where you live, please?
Did she not already do that, Mr. Stone? Did she not already do that when I swore her in?
Am I able to examine
but did she do that when? No, we're not going to be examining witnesses. You said she has testimony. Let her say what she has to say without coaching. And please, did she not answer me? Did she not, when we started, say her name and her address?
Very well. How long have you lived at your current address, Ms. Brown?
I moved in December 31st, 2021.
And can you identify for the court who your co-lessees are for your unit? Well, actually, let me back up a step. Which unit do you reside in at the property?
I stay in Unit A.
Thank you. And can you identify for the court if you have any co-lessees at Unit
A? Casey Shuffles, Miss Jody, and I believe his name is Calvin, but I don't really talk to him a lot.
So there are four of you in that unit?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Is they, Your Honor, if I may, I would like to produce the lease for Unit A. Give me just a moment to pull that up.
And what is the lease going to show me?
That there are 4 people living together by joint agreement, which is the definition of a family under the CZO. Would you like me to proceed?
Just go ahead and proceed. Yeah, if you just wanted to show that there are 4 people that lease that property, go ahead. We don't need to see the lease, but if you want to email the lease, then you can.
Okay, well, if you'll accept the
I
testimony.
wouldn't be able to. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to read it on here online.
Okay. Does your testimony today regarding the 4 occupants of Unit A, Ms. Brown, accurately reflect the current occupancy of the unit? Are those the only 4 people living there?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions for Ms. Brown. I'd now like to call Mr. James Hammond, please.
Yes, sir. I'm present.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. And you stated earlier that you reside at 2544 Domain Street. Could you state for the court which unit you reside in?
Unit B.
And can you identify the co-lessees that you rent Unit B from Mr. Meyers with?
Yes, sir. Levita Bryant and Brent Ellis.
So there's 3 people in Unit B?
Yes.
Could I just ask for him to repeat the last name that he said for my notes?
Brent Ellis.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, I have the lease for Unit B if you're willing to accept Mr. Hammond's testimony as to the occupancy. I don't need to show that.
Yes, I mean, you can just email those in to Ms. McNee's email address. So we'll
Okay.
have them. Okay, both
Sure.
of those leases, if you don't mind, Ms. McNee, can you just give him your email address again? Make sure he has it correctly.
It's ljmcnee@nola.gov.
Okay, so she'll have them in the file, okay?
Understood. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
My third witness is Casey Shuffle. She's also a current tenant of Unit A. Her testimony is going to be repetitive of Ms. Brown's. If you'd like to move
No.
past that, Your Honor.
No, I can move past that.
Okay. Those are all of my witnesses, Your Honor. If we look at the witness's testimony, we see that there's currently 4 people in Unit A living together by joint agreement. Another word for that would be roommates. We have 3 people in Unit B, both of which are 4 or less as required by the comprehensive zoning ordinance. The units are separated physically. They're not interchangeable. You can't go from Unit A to Unit B without going to the exterior of the home, as the city's own video shows. And sorry, I thought I heard somebody chime in.
No.
The video itself, Your Honor, doesn't show anything that violates the definitions that the city itself put forward for use of the property as a 2-family dwelling. It's zoned as a 2-family dwelling. There's 2 units. There is an appropriate number of people in each one according to the CZO's definition of a family. And the defense would suggest that this case should be dismissed based on those factual findings alone.
Okay, so your testimony and the testimony of Mr. Meyers, you confirm that, is that there are only 2 dwelling units at 2544 Domain, correct? Am I correct on that?
Yes, ma'am, there certainly are.
Only 2 dwelling units. Okay.
Right.
So, city, having heard that, what do you believe there are more dwelling units? On what are you basing that?
Or can I ask a question of his witnesses?
What's the question?
Well, I mean, I have to be able to.
No, I'm asking her what's the question. I'm not saying she can ask it. What is the question?
I would like to know if all of the bedrooms are occupied by these tenants, if there's any unoccupied bedrooms at this time.
Oh,
I
don't know that that's that relevant. If they have a lease that says 4 people on one side and 3 on the other, I mean, that's what their lease is.
Yeah, I understand that the lease may show that. I'm wondering if there's any space in the building that's not being covered by these leases that
Are
are
there
unoccupied.
any other people living in the building other than the other than the 7 people? Mr. Stone or Mr. Myers are tenants.
No, Your Honor, and I'm happy to let any of the tenants answer that question on their own, but no, the answer is, that question is no.
But my question was, are there any, not that there's people living, but
Are there
any
more bedrooms? How many bedrooms are in each unit? How about that? How
There
many
are
bedrooms?
6 and 3.
How many bedrooms? I'm sorry?
There are 6 in A, and there are 3 in B.
6 bedrooms in A?
Yes.
And how many in B? You said 3?
Correct. Now, some can be
Are there
used
any
as a
other
living space.
bedrooms? Are there any other bedrooms that are not within Unit A or Unit? Is there any other? That's the totality of the bedrooms in the entire property.
Yes.
I'm looking at this property on. I'm sorry, Lily. I'm looking at this property on Google Earth. It doesn't. Is it a? It's a little single-story red brick building.
Yes.
How do you get 6 bedrooms in there? And 6 and 3.
9 bedrooms. I don't know.
How do you get 9 bedrooms in that little bitty thing? I'm just curious. Where is there more to that I can see?
I mean, you've got the video of the entire dwelling, Your Honor.
I am just physically don't even understand how you can have 9 bedrooms in what I can see on Google Earth. How far back does that property extend?
About 80 feet in depth.
Yeah. So what is the square footage of that building?
3,000.
I don't know how you get 9 bedrooms in there. You must
Well,
be
and Your
Houdini.
Honor, they're rooms. They're not bedrooms. They're just rooms in the structure.
Well,
Some may be
y'all
used as
said
an entertainment
bedrooms.
room or used as a bedroom. As in shotgun homes, as in any home in the city, rooms may be utilized as the tenant wishes.
Okay. Is there anything else that you all have to say, Mr. Myers or Mr. Stone, right now?
Not at the moment, Your Honor. I would reserve the right to cross-examine any witnesses for the city, but I believe that's all that we have to offer at the moment.
Okay. I want to hear from Mr. Legrand now.
Hi, thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, before Mr. Legrand begins, the 3 tenants that are on with us right now are currently at work, and we'd ask if there's no questions from the city, they could be dismissed.
I don't have any more, but do you, either Nick or Ms. McNee?
I don't believe so, no.
I don't think I have any questions for the tenants.
Okay. All righty. Go ahead, Mr. Legrand.
James, Casey, and Ramona,
And the
you all
tenants
are
can go to work.
Thank you, Judge. I would like to start with what Mr. Stone said, alleging that I helped Mr. Myers apply for a short-term rental license. I am a lawyer. I do have a prior professional relationship with Mr. Myers. I cannot, as you know, go into details on what that professional relationship was, but I think I can testify to the fact that it is patently false that I gave him any sort of assistance related to the actual application of applying for a short-term rental license.
Your Honor, I have Mr. Myers here. He's happy to waive the privilege and testify as to what the extent of their professional relationship is.
I don't really think I need to know what the extent of the relationship was. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, Judge, I'd like to first start by sharing just a simple map that might give you a layout of the properties. This is the property in question. I live right here. This is also a homesteader. Mr. Myers also owns this property through an LLC, 910 Dumaine Street. And basically what I would like to present today is some evidence showing that Mr. Myers has operated not only 2544 Dumaine Street, but 910 North Dorchenois, which, like I showed, is just around the corner.
One second, just let me say that, I mean, to the extent that any knowledge that you have that you gained during your professional relationship, as long as Mr. Myers allows you to speak, that's fine. I wouldn't want you to violate any kind of confidentiality you may or may not have with him.
Sure, I will testify that I believe Mr. Myers waived his right to that. We met at the end of 2019.
One second, Mr. Myers, do you waive your right to any of that? I just want that on the record.
I do.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Legrand.
We worked together at the end of 2019. He paid me approximately $700 for a 2-hour strategy session where we sat down for a consult. So the extent of what we talked about was a 2-hour discussion of the laws of the short-term rental in Louisiana, and we're in New Orleans at the time. So I give that time and that money as a way to say that it's now 2.5 years later, and I'm here testifying against him as a witness. Now, to go into it, I show the 910 Nord Dorzois and everything.
Your
I'm
Honor, I
about to show
object to the relevancy of anything about 910 Dorzois. That's not what we're here for today.
Judge, I believe it's relevant because it goes to culpability. Mr. Meyers has continually fired false building permits. He's committed false homestead exemption fraud. He's renting more units in these properties than are allowed. And I think I realize that the infractions on 910 North Dorzois are not what he's here for today, but I believe, and I'm not even going to go into detail on them, but I believe showing them goes to his culpability in what he's talking about. May I proceed?
You're muted, Mr.
Sorry, we can't hear you, Your Honor.
Sorry. I think you were screen sharing. You can go right ahead with what you were presenting.
Okay. I would like to start by, as somebody mentioned, we had a hearing about a year ago. I believe it was March 31st, 2021, related to some short-term rentals that he was operating at the property. I have 3 audio clips of that hearing. They're each a minute long. May I play them?
Yes, you may.
I object, Your Honor. It's prior testimony of witnesses who could easily be here today if we wanted to call them.
Antonio Washington, who has just confirmed that he's on the line.
Washington?
I would, before I start, I would like to emphasize that this Antonio Washington is a witness called by Mr. Meyers. The person examining him is Mr. Stone. You'll also hear Ms. McNee in there, and you'll also hear a female voice who is the hearing officer for that hearing.
Is Mr. Washington here today?
Judges, I'm sure you're aware, this is competent evidence. As you already said, you can make that decision.
We're going to go forward. This is a hearing that the city had. So the city can verify later if this has been doctored, but I want to see what he's going to present.
How you doing?
Do you tell the truth? Well, please raise your right hand. I'm sorry. I can't see you, but I'm assuming your right hand is raised. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. So just go ahead and let him make his appearance for the record.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Washington. Would you please state your name for the record? Antonio Washington. And where do you currently live, Mr.? I'm at 2544 Domain. And how long have you lived at 2544 Domain Street? A little over a year now.
Do you know how many units are in this particular property?
Quite a few. Only guess, but I guess number 5.
I'm sorry?
I think I'm over 5. Do you want me to do the exact?
Do I want you to? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I was saying, do you want the exact number, or I'm guessing 5 or more?
Okay. And you do have a signed lease with Mr. Hampton Meyers?
Yes.
That is that. These clips were obtained via Freedom of Information Act request for the audio of that hearing. Obviously, it was a 2-hour long hearing, so I have cut them down. The audio appears in the order in which it came in there. I'm also going to play this one. It's from the same hearing.
Please raise your right hand. I can't see. I'm going to assume that your right hand is waved. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you for joining us this morning, Ms. Rogers. Would you please state your full name for the record?
Isabel Lucille Rogers.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. And where are you currently living?
2544 Dumaine.
And Ms. Rogers, approximately how long have you lived at 2544 Domain Street?
I moved in early December, so about 4 months now.
Do you know how many units there are at this location?
That's just me.
1 second, let me count really quick. That I know of, I believe there are 7.
And finally, this is the testimony of Mr. Hampton Meyers. And of course, that one's giving me trouble and won't work. Let me try one more thing here.
There's 2
I'll
units.
just point out, Your Honor, we've conceded there's 7 tenants at the property, which is what both of them testified to.
They did not say tenants, they said
She
units.
said yeah, I was going to say she said units, and I was about to ask because that was your tenant who was here. she said she has 7 roommates, but in that other hearing, she said there were 7 units.
It was different people, I testify.
It's not the same person, Your Honor, just for the
Yeah,
record.
it's not the same.
No.
Okay, she said there were 7 units.
Judge, I will also testify as an officer of this court that none of those individuals testified that they had roommates to the extent that Mr. Meyers presented individuals today. They were not asked that question, but they said units and did not go on to explain, like you might hear someone in a roommate situation. Yeah, I live with my girlfriend Layla. She's in here. It's 1 unit. We have 2 people in here. It was, the question was not asked, but it was also not explained like that. This is now the testimony from the same hearing of Mr. Meyers himself.
There's 2 units in this building, correct? 2 kitchens, 2 units.
Yes.
And you are just doing long-term rentals at that location, correct?
Yes.
Do you have leases for every person that you are renting to?
You say that word again. Did you say bases or leases?
Leases? Do you have a lease for each person that's renting there?
I do.
And how many people are occupying that building in both total?
So there's 8 leaseholders, and there are more individuals because some people have children and some people have girlfriends and boyfriends.
Okay, so you have 8 leaseholders, and about how many total people are living at that location?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, I'll just say 12. It's 12 or 13.
So it's 12 total or 12 in addition to the leaseholders?
No, it's 13 human beings total.
And that's the end of that testimony, Your Honor.
Okay.
I have other evidence I would also like to present.
And what is your other evidence?
Basically, it goes to show that Hampton Meyers filed for building permits on this property. And in those building permits, he indicated that no square footage would be added when in fact it was, based upon satellite photos, based upon photos from my own house. I have photos. He also indicated that no square footage and that it would remain a 2-family property. I have a fire report. I think you asked about the fire that was next door. Mr. Meyers actually purchased that property and was doing construction on it without a permit. And then in October of 2020, I forget the exact day, there was a fire on that property, and a subrogation lawsuit filed by his insurance company. It was alleged that that fire was started by an Airbnb tenant at Mr. Meyers' property when he threw a cigarette over the fence. That property, based upon Google Maps evidence, shows that he was also adding square footage to that, again, without a building permit.
Let me stop you once again. Mr. Kendall, have you dealt with all of this? With all these building without permits? Because that should be zoning or somebody.
I can answer that question. We've had discussions with the building division of safety and permits about additional violations that may be present at this location.
And Your Honor, if you'd care to look at the one-stop report for that property, you'll see that there have been complaints filed to that effect and they've been summarily dismissed.
And Judge,
I'm sorry. Has the safety and permits just gone ahead and dismissed all complaints about building without a permit?
No.
Your Honor, if you look, there was a
wait. I didn't. Mr. McNee. Miss McNee or Mr. Kendall.
No, what I stated is that there have been discussions with the building division of safety and permits about additional violations that may be at this location, and it may not be a case that's been opened in one stop that you can see, but that doesn't mean that the city isn't doing anything about that.
His job. All right, thank you. All right.
Judge, I think some context might help here. I'm here today because the law provides for a fine of $500 a day for violation per day. Mr. Meyers, it looks like he completed his renovations, and based upon that former testimony of a woman testifying, she had lived there for a year. Even if we call it April of 20, she testified at the end of March 2021, she had lived there for a year. So if we say her move-in date was April 1st, 2020, that means Mr. Meyers has been operating multiple units since at least April 1st, 2020. My experience as a neighbor has been that it's been between 910 and 2544, multiple units. It has people been in and out all the time. We've had to deal with broken down cars in the neighborhood forever. We're currently dealing with a drug dealer. I see individuals going into the house, leaving their car running, going inside for short periods of time and walking back out, leaving people in the car. Individuals I don't recognize. They're not DoorDash, they're not Uber, they're not delivering anything. They're walking in, walking out very quickly empty-handed. There's also a woman who walks out of the house and up to cars, again, apparently empty-handed, goes up to them, does a quick exchange apparently, and then walks back into the house. And just all the problems that come with Mr. Meyers operating what he himself testified is to 8 individual leaseholders in 2540 Main Street in a 2-family home.
It's a mischaracterization of his testimony.
He said in the testimony a year ago that it was 8 leaseholders at 2544
Meaning
Dumaine
there are 8 people on leases.
and 13 people in there.
He said there were 13 people. This is true.
That is true, Your Honor. But the mischaracterization is that there's 8 people on leases, not 8 individual leases.
I'm happy to play it again. There were 8 leaseholders and
No.
13 people.
Please do.
Go ahead.
Should I play it again, Judge? Or
Yes, please.
I was the person that asked those questions in that clip, and that was my understanding of the answer, was that there were 8 individual leaseholders at that location at that
Go
time.
ahead and replay that for me.
Here, it's coming right now, Judge.
There's
Thank
2 units in this building, correct? 2 kitchens, 2 units.
Yes.
And you are just doing long-term rentals at that location, correct?
Yes.
Do you have leases for every person that you are renting to?
You say that word again, did you say bases or leases?
Leases? Do you have a lease for each person that's renting there?
I do.
And how many people are occupying that building in both total?
So there's 8 leaseholders, and there are more individuals because some people have children and some people have girlfriends and boyfriends.
Okay, so you have 8 leaseholders, and about how many total people are living at that location?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, I'll just say 12. It's 12 or 13.
So it's 12 total or 12 in addition to the leaseholders?
No, it's 13 human beings total.
So, Judge, to restart there, to why I'm here today. I'm here today because of that $500 a day. I cannot possibly imagine a scenario where somebody is more deserving of a fine of $500 a day than Hampton Meyers. It blows my mind the amount of work he's done on this property, the amount of people he's stuffing into the property. At one point, he was operating a property called the Tiny Triple Treme at 2544 Dumaine Street and running 3 short-term rentals out of there. Out of 9
license for Your Honor.
Yes, he had 2 licenses to run 3 short-term rentals. He also applied for those licenses under the pretense that he had a homestead exemption. However, he did not apparently live there as somebody who lives 2 doors down. I did not see him there on a regular basis. I also have evidence, including property records and building permits, where during the time he claims to have a homestead exemption at 2544 Dumaine Street, he indicates an address in Lakeview, in Metairie, and on Barone Street.
Honor, he had short-term rental licenses for the time he was using it as a short-term rental. The city can verify that. They're on the line.
I'm not disputing that. I'm disputing the fact that he had 2 and he's running multiple units out of it. And he's also claimed an illegal homestead exemption fraud.
He had 2 short-term rental licenses.
When I say here that I'm $500 a day, based on that previous testimony from the end of March of a woman testifying she lived there for a year, if we say that's April 1st, 2020, through today, that's 694 days times 500 is $347,000. Now, I realize that's a lot, but in all due respect, I think any fine of less than $250,000 is an insult to the individuals who have moved into this neighborhood.
Well, let me just tell you that that's not how we work. If I were to do daily fines, which the staff knows, I do daily fines very often when they're merited. And I'm not afraid of daily fines, but they are not they will be put it on going forward. I can't put them on going, in reverse.
With all due respect, Your Honor, I believe the law allows you to do that. You might decide not to, but I believe the law and the zoning code as updated in 2017 provides for fines of $500 a day per violation.
Yes, and I don't have a problem with that. Although I can tell you that in this forum, I think the folks here are not even used to doing the daily fines as I do. I might be the only one who does daily fines. So if I were to put them on, retrospectively, I think that would blow everybody's mind. So it would be
And
going
Judge, I
forward.
believe the
But
activity, if you lived in my neighborhood and had to deal with Mr. Myers as a property
yeah,
owner, it would blow your mind. It is the constant chatter of me and my neighbors. It has caused stress between myself and my girlfriend of the amount of times we have to deal with motorcycles driving down the sidewalk, with people out at night at all hours of the night, with the trash, with the general problems that he has created. And to your point, he's gotten away with it. The city has done, they've given him 0 fines for the building permits, for homestead exemption fraud. He's collecting rent from, I guess, 7 people it is now in a 2-family home. And he's got so I'm asking for a fine of that big because I believe anything else is a slap on the wrist and a cost of doing business.
okay.
And I have considered civil action against him, Judge. The problem is that that's expensive and time consuming, and there's not really very many good options I have this way. And this is one of the best options that I, as a neighbor and a property owner, as someone who's had my peaceful possession interrupted by Mr. Myers, has to get some recourse. And I can tell you that the other people are not here because they're fed up. They're tired of asking the city. They're tired of calling 311. They're tired of calling 911. We're tired of calling our council members.
They're too fed up to come prosecute their case.
You know, they have, they came before. They came before, and
The only
because
person
let me
is
finish what
bringing
I'm
it to me.
saying. Don't interrupt me. They came here before. There were people before. But you said, well, you're 24 hours off of notice. And even though we're all here, we are going to just stick it to you and say, no, we are not going to waive notice. So do you remember that? Remember
My
what
witnesses
happened?
were
So
not
all
here, Your
those
Honor.
people, but all those people had to leave. So now they sent letters in. They sent in letters. They're now in the file. So let's just go beyond this tit for tat on this. I want Mr. Kendall to tell me. I will tell you, even if it's just 2 units and it's 13 people, 13 people seem like a pretty high density of people on a property. So, Mr. Kendall, does the city have any comment on that or any restrictions on that? Because that seems like a lot.
So yeah, the zoning code once again gets into the number of unrelated individuals living in a particular, as part of the family definition, living together, and that's limited to 4 unrelated individuals, and it requires, that people live together by a joint rental agreement. And so I would like to kind of go back to the lease. Obviously, I'm not able to see the lease, but I am curious when the lease dates to for each of these units, Unit A and Unit B.
Have you sent
as well
that over
as,
already, Mr. Stone? So,
No, I have to wait until we get off the hearing before I can do that. Well,
I think you can email it without us being on the hearing, because you have to, with us being on the hearing, because Ms. McNee will get it on her email address.
let me see. I might be able to do that. Can you give me Ms. McNee's email address again? I'm not
Ms.
sure.
McNee, please to give it again.
LJ McNee, MCNEE @NOLA.gov.
And okay, let's see.
I apologize, Judge.
That's okay. Happens to me.
Judge, can I show one more piece of evidence that I think goes to the frustration that I'm experiencing here today?
Go ahead while we're waiting to get this email. Go ahead.
So this is this is the city's website, data.nola.gov. And on data.nola.gov, you can actually access 311 calls from 2012 to present, and you can actually create a visualization of the complaints. So what I've done is created this visualization. This is the city's own website again. I have added filters to exclude complaints that do not have an address, and I've changed the request status to pending. And if you sort by this, by the number of pending complaints, 2544 Dumaine Street has 47 pending complaints.
Wow.
Options here are pending or closed. So this is, I think, it's the second most complained about, or at least unresolved complaints in the city.
How did you get to this website? What is this website here? I'm not even familiar with it.
It's data.nola.gov. It's the city's.
I'm sorry, sir. What did you say? Data driven?
It's data. It's actually, well, I guess that's the address, but you can get to it by data.nola.gov. And the city has plenty of databases related to different things for the city. And one of them is, if you just search 311, you can find the calls, you can find the data, you can click into the data, you can visualize the data. I'm not going to sign in. I'm creating a bar chart based on address. You can see there's a lot of complaints. I'm going to add a filter to remove addresses that is not no value. So get rid of all those that don't have an address. And then you can see that this is multiple property. These are properties that have had issues resolved apparently. And then if we change the request status we have the options of closed or pending. We apply pending, and it's the second one. It's got 47. So this, this is not just me. This is a culmination of all the neighbors doing everything we possibly can. So when I say that I don't understand how there could not possibly be a case of $500 a day for multiple years of violations, it blows my mind that there's a better case that is more deserving of $500 a day over hundreds of days.
Your Honor, I'd like to briefly interject just to say the leases have been sent, and I need to have an opportunity to respond to this data that Mr. LeGrand just presented, please.
Okay, so Ms. McNee, you've got the leases.
I received them.
Okay, you can take a look at them. You can also forward them to me if you'd like. But I'll let you go ahead and respond to the data.
Certainly. I'd like to share with the court right now a picture. Forgive me, I'm not used to WebEx. It takes me a second to navigate this. Okay. So what I'm sharing with the court right now is a picture of an Instagram account called Hampton's Irregular Properties. Mr. LeGrand, would you care to let the court know who runs that Instagram account, please?
Yeah, I do, Judge. Based upon the number of complaints.
Excuse me.
No, let me let him finish. Let me let him finish. Go ahead, Mr. LeGrand. Based upon what?
The number of complaints I've submitted to the city, to the state fire marshal. With that many people, it is a commercial operation that's subject to commercial codes. To the NOPD to complain about the drug activity. To my council member, to everyone I could possibly think about. And again, he's faced zero repercussions for this.
Okay.
So
all right. What's your other question, Mr.
Your Honor, if you look at what we'll submit as Defense Exhibit 1, I believe it's the first one we have submitted, you'll see at the bottom of the profile of the Hampton's Irregular Properties, you see a link that says link tr.ee/Hampton's Irregular Properties. I'm now going to share where that link takes people.
Oh, right now, I think I've seen Miss Lily's.
Yes, that's the lease. Now, Your Honor, what I'm sharing.
I'd like to move on from this. I just don't know, understand the relevancy of three.
I believe I'm sharing where that link clicks to now. That is a solicitation by Mr. LeGrand of people all around the world
to submit complaints to the city about Mr.
That's
Meyers'
fine.
property.
If he wants to do that, fine. So what? Because they could do that on their own if they want, or if somebody happens to find this website, they can do it more easily.
That's
Whatever.
absolutely correct,
And
Your
we
Honor.
already
But the
know that. We
suggestion
already
that
know
these
Mr.
were
Legrand's got an
vandals.
issue with the property, so that's established.
In
So you
addition,
saw that.
the amount of 311 calls are not anything that I'm taking into consideration today in bringing this case forward, or, anyway. I have questions about the first lease that I'm looking at, which is for unit. I haven't looked at all of them, so I don't know. There's 4 attachments.
Ms.
So
McNee, I'm sorry, you have my email address. Just go ahead and email it to me while you're looking at it, please.
I just forwarded it. So this is for unit A. So these are leases for 8 weeks, January 26th to March 25th. Okay. So it's an 8-week lease for unit A. So and then I have 3 attachments for unit B, is that correct? So this is for January.
October of 2021, January of 2022, and February of 2022. Correct. For unit.
Why are the leases so? Why are they 8? Why is this an 8-week lease? What's up with that?
Because if it's less than 4 weeks, Your Honor, then it's considered a short-term rental. And since those licenses were revoked wrongfully, we would say.
Why aren't they? Why? Well, how would? Okay. You keep saying wrongfully. This man doesn't live there, does he?
No, not now. He does not. Nor, Your Honor, under the clear homestead exemption requirements, is he required to live there 100% of the time. He's required to be there 50% of the year, which I believe is 180.
Well, it's more than that. It has to be your primary residence.
This department is not the one.
And it can be
responsible for the revocation of the homestead exemption. We are not the ones that review the homestead exemption revocation.
Right.
It's something that happened because the assessor's office took it apart. This is a conclusion that they came to themselves. So if you have for the revocation of homestead exemption, you have to take it up with the assessor's office. It's not anything that we can handle.
Just 8 weeks seems like a really short time for a lease.
Can I show one more thing?
Who's this? Who?
Mr. Legrand.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. I'm trying to look at the lease.
I just shared this with Ms. Lillian McNee. This is a Craigslist posting from February 6th, 2022. So 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
This is for a long-term stay, weekly pay in the 5th ward. We are in the 5th ward. It's for a 2-bedroom. That's 350 square feet, 350.
I recognize the countertops. That's his house.
Yes, these pictures are his house. You can see in the description, it's private entrance, private bathroom, private kitchen. Rent covers everything. That's not a roommate situation, Your Honor.
No, it's not.
McNee.
No, it's not.
This is Nick Kendall. Looking at the Unit A lease, it looks like that started in January 28th. What was in place prior to that lease agreement?
Not sure that I have a lease. Let me look and see, and if not, I'm happy to let my client testify to that effect.
So, Unit B has 3 bedrooms, and Unit A has 4 bedrooms. Right.
A question to you, Mr. Meyers.
Unit B has 3 bedrooms, but one of them could very easily be an entertainment room, which is why that Craigslist post reflects 2 bedrooms rather than 3. Unit A has 6 bedrooms, but as I stated previously, a bedroom can very easily be converted into an entertainment room or something to be used for any other purpose.
So when there's a lease for Unit B with 4 people, do you have an explanation for why
Hey,
there's 4 people on the lease?
hey, wait a minute. Oh my God. Okay, so go ahead. You've asked a question. Go ahead and answer that question.
Which lease are you referring to, Ms. McNee? Or Ms. Haggerty, I'm sorry.
Okay. I believe it's the 20. It was entered into agreement October 10th, 2021. There's 4 people listed on it.
This is,
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking through my leases. May I ask what the question was?
I can share it.
While she's sharing it, let me get this straight. For the places I just saw, you know, with the plywood walls and all, you get
Yes.
$4,800 a month for that?
Yes.
Lord Jesus. And also, Mr. Kendall, I don't know. I guess this is a code enforcement question. I mean, are all of that's up to code as far as a living arrangement there? That's all up to code? That meets the city's code for living arrangements?
Yeah, that's
It's
out of my area of expertise. That's probably something the building division.
well, then I'll have then either y'all
Well,
can
yeah,
ask
and
or I can ask, but I'm directing someone to ask them to look at that.
yes, we will do that.
Thank you. Please make sure you follow up on that.
would you like Mr. Meyers to address the lease?
Sure. What is the question? This is the prior lease. This is Fred, Christian, George, and Willie. Yeah, they moved in on the 11th day of October 2021. As you can see, they signed the lease together. This was a physical sign. We did it at Juan's Flying Burrito. They shared Unit B. And I mean, I don't know what else. What is the nature of the question?
Well, that there's 4 people listed, and you stated earlier that there's 3 bedrooms. There's just if there's an explanation for that.
Christian and George are significant others.
Okay, that's what I just didn't want to make an assumption, so that's why I was asking the question. All right. Well,
Judge, may I share one more thing that I think kind of just, again, goes to show the whole picture of all this?
Look, I'm gonna let you share one more thing. If you have any other one more things, please share it all together.
Yes, of course, Your Honor.
Okay.
This is a screenshot that I took on October of 2020 of a Booking.com listing. You can see it's after COVID started. You can see it's the TTT, and it's 2544 Dumaine Street. I believe that's short for the Tiny Treme Triple or the Tiny Triple Treme.
Lord have mercy. Uh-huh.
Now, Mr. Meyers testified that he had 2 units. He's listing it here as 3 units, as 3 separate listings to show pricing for a deluxe apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment, and another 1-bedroom apartment.
Can you make that bigger? Can you expand that? Because I can't.
Happy to.
Thank you.
Happy to make this as big as you would like. You can see
All
that
right,
it's
now
been
let's go
welcoming
back.
guests since February 5th of 2018. You can see there's dozens of reviews. And so this just all goes to the idea that to call this a 2-family property is ludicrous. It's not true.
It was not a 2-family property at that point, Your Honor. It was a short-term rental. I mean,
Judge, it was still a 2-family property being operated as a 3-unit short-term rental.
What he's not showing is the calendar. Those 3 listings could not be booked simultaneously. For operations reasons, it was good to have a 1-bedroom unit, Airbnb unit listing, whatever you want to call it, for in-between days. For example, if a Tuesday and Wednesday was available, because I don't want a 6-person party coming in on a Tuesday and Wednesday. I want somebody to come in who's quiet and who doesn't, mess up the walls and mess up the towels and stuff like that. So what he's not showing tells the entire story there. There were 3 listings, but they could not be booked simultaneously.
as well as the reviews, which go on at some length about how great and clean the space was.
Well, it
Okay.
may have been in the past, but I didn't see all the plywood walls there, and certainly the videos I saw did not look.
And
That was
just
a
to
hot
reiterate, Ron,
mess. I'm gonna
that
tell you,
was
those videos I saw, they were both hot messes.
that was just done to convert it from a short-term rental to the
Yeah.
long-term rental.
Okay.
The video was taken after tenants moved out. So, it wasn't- or being
So
rented.
tell me, Mr. McKendall, you've heard a lot of testimony today. I need to hear from the city. The city needs to defend its case here.
Yes, so I think at the heart of the case is the use of Unit A. And, what happened here is, we inspected it in October. At that point, it was obvious that they weren't renting Unit A as a single dwelling unit by, joint agreement. We haven't seen any evidence of that. We sent a violation letter to them when they figured out that, we were on their case. At that point, they signed the joint agreement and all that sort of stuff. So based on the evidence submitted, it appears that it's currently in compliance. However, when we first investigated this back in October, it was, based on the evidence I've seen, it was a zoning violation at that time, and the city recommends that we move forward with the $500 fine for that violation.
Your Honor, as the city just testified in his own words, it's currently in compliance.
And what do you want me to do about that? And you repeated that, and why? What did you hope to gain from repeating that?
Because there is currently, as of this moment, no violation that's actionable existing at the property. The city just said that.
Right, but what we're here today is to defend that it was in violation at the time of the.
Right. It was in violation, and they're saying it's now not in violation, but it was in violation. That's what they're saying.
I don't think that the city has demonstrated that, Your Honor.
Okay,
and
well, I think that your client demonstrated it when he said there was 13 people. That was a violation right there. I mean, it does sound like it was certainly in violation.
That was in March of 2021, Your Honor. As they just said, the first notice of violation was in October of 2021.
So they sent you the notice.
Violation has to come first.
But it was still doesn't mean it wasn't in violation. So it was in violation. It's not in violation now, according to what the city is saying.
And if I'm just to seek some clarity, Your Honor, I believe that you said previously that we don't retroactively assign. So even if I were to concede, which I'm not, that there was a prior violation to October, to use the earliest date, which is when the first notice went out, I think you've already said that you weren't going to retroactively adjudicate that. But even
no, you're wrong. I said that I don't retroactively put on daily fines. Okay. That's what I said. Daily fines retroactively. That's all I said.
Sure. So look, I'm certainly not conceding that there was any violation at any point in the past, but if there was, the city just conceded that it's been abated. And to the point.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say that again. We've said it now 3 or 4 times. I detest repeating. So since there was a violation, and whenever there was a violation, I'm going to just tell you, even if there's a violation and then you come back and you basically look like you got the Taj Mahal, if there was a violation, you still get fined. I mean, that's just the way it is. If there was a violation, now there isn't a violation, but you still get a fine. So the city is asking for a fine because there was a violation. So what does the city recommend on the fine?
The city would recommend the fine is liable and the maximum fine of $500 for the single violation for this case.
Okay, and then there's a $75 court fee, so it'll be $575 plus a security bond set. I'm also ordering the city to send out code enforcement to check on the other violations that may or may not exist.
Okay.
Just before we go off the record, I need to note my objections to the admissibility of the photos of the city's videos.
You already have.
And then if we can go back, To put it this way, I'll object to the admissibility of all of Mr. Legrand's presentations that he made as well. I accede that some of those are admissible, but I can't recall, and I don't think they were numbered when they were shown. So for the purposes of protecting any legitimate objections, I'll object to all of that as well.
No problem. That's
I
noted.
would really encourage everyone to read these leases that were sent to us thoroughly. They're very interesting. They're definitely not boilerplate leases.
Okay, and I go ahead. Lily, I'm sorry.
Just that one of the nothing. That's all that I have to say.
Okay, and I am going to make it clear again because I don't want anyone to miss this, Mr. Kendall. I'm ordering that the city gets code enforcement out there, and I want a full inspection of the building. I want code enforcement to do their job, which is to inspect, in this case, both the interior and exterior of this building. Now, am I clear?
Isn't that what the video is? Didn't they already do the inspection?
No, they did not. That wasn't code enforcement. They did not.
Why?
I don't want that department inspecting it again. I want code enforcement. Am I clear?
Yes, you've made yourself abundantly clear.
I want them to do interior. So, Mr. Meyers, I need you to let them have access so they can do their interior and exterior inspection. That is code enforcement, not this department. Okay, Mr. Kendall, please contact the appropriate people.
Yes, will do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This concludes your hearing, and that's your fine for today. And I have not put in daily fines. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.